Here you are, staring down the barrel of Von Kaiser, the German war machine. You've just graduated from felling the Frenchman Glassjaw, but this time you're up against a seasoned boxing veteran, a battle-hardened fighter with a respectable track record and the experience to back it up. On paper, Von Kaiser should be a real challenge. I mean, the guy teaches boxing for a living, so it would make sense for him to teach you a lesson, right? Well, at first it does seem that way, what with his lightning-fast jabs and powerful uppercuts, but here's the catch. That's pretty much all he's got. 2 attacks. Von Kaiser does indeed teach you a lesson, but in a different way than you'd expect. He's a well-disguised tutorial designed to teach players the importance of telegraphing their opponent's attacks and reacting to them accordingly, a fundamental mechanic that lies at the very heart of Punch-Out. All in all, Von Kaiser was a pretty serviceable opponent, and did what he needed to do in the NES installment. Where he really got into his stride, however, was his grand return in Punch-Out for the Wii. Here, I think the best way that he can be summed up is through the introduction that the game gives us of him. The first couple of slides show him polishing his boots and squaring up for battle. Here, he looks strong, intimidating almost, and then the very next second we see him getting beaten up and laughed at by kids. To me, that's sort of reflective of the fight against Von Kaiser as a whole. On the surface, it seems like you're facing your first real opponent, and everything points to it being that way at first. His jabs are a lot quicker than those of Glassjaw, he blocks your attacks, giving him a solid defense, and even throws in his uppercut, which does a lot more damage than you're used to. It's gotta be the first attack in the game that makes you really feel the impact of being hit by it. From this, Von Kaiser seems to be a pretty competent boxer on the surface. However, it's when you start to look deeper that he begins to show his cracks. You see, every time that he goes for a jab, Von Kaiser does a little twitch. This gives you ample opportunity to telegraph his attack and dodge out of the way to leave him completely bewildered. The twitch doesn't just serve as a means of giving you time to dodge, however, oh no. Remember how I said that his guard actually seemed pretty tough? Well, the truth is, it's actually full of holes, and one of the biggest of said holes is this attack. If you throw out a punch while Von Kaiser is twitching before he manages to throw out the jab, you'll earn yourself a star. This teaches you that not only are you rewarded for successfully dodging attacks, but equally for countering them. It's not just the jab you can do this with though, it also works in the wind up to his uppercut, and really, there are star opportunities everywhere with this dude. Like, even when he gets back up after being knocked down, you can get a star for punching him while he steps into the middle of the ring. As the fight goes on, you find more and more of Von Kaiser's weaknesses, and you start to realize that he's really just as much of a pushover as Glassjaw. I mean, just like his original appearance on the NES, the guy still only has 2 attacks. His jab from the left and his uppercut from the right. He is ridiculously predictable and honestly kinda pathetic. What epitomizes this patheticness, however, is the fact that in the middle of the fight, he'll get scared, cover his face and cry out for mummy. You almost feel bad for the guy. I mean, the dude is 42, long past his prime, and is trying his best to cling onto his career despite being traumatized by the kids who beat him up, and probably being reminded of that as Little Mac, a man half his size, pummels him into submission. Oh, but if you punch him while he's crying, you get a star. What? I mean, I said you almost feel bad for him. Not bad enough to stop you from punching him though. In fact, if you build up 3 stars and hit him with an uppercut just as he says, "Mommy," he'll get instantly knocked out. Not knocked down, knocked out cold. This means that it's actually possible to take out this guy in just 5 punches. That is the lowest number needed to defeat any opponent in this game, even less than Glassjaw. And really, that's the beauty of Von Kaiser. To a newcomer, a tough challenge, but to a veteran, barely even an obstacle. In all honesty, his character is kinda tragic in a way. If you look at his record, he's won 23 fights in the past, which is far higher than the rest of the minor circuit. Back in his heyday, Kaiser was probably a great boxer, likely one of the top contenders in the major or even the world circuit, but now, age has just caught up to him and he's no longer the powerhouse that he once was, relegated to being ranked higher than only Glassjaw. He has such a cool theme too, like this could honestly be final boss music. It's a pity that the fight doesn't really match that energy. Oh well, I guess that's it, right? Well, if we're all done here, I'll be heading off now and— whoa, hold up, not so fast. You see, in Punch-Out Wii, when you beat every opponent and claim the champion's belt, the game doesn't end there. Winning the belt is one thing, but holding onto it is another. Introducing Title Defense, where you have to take on every character all over again. But these guys aren't the same as when you first took them on, oh no. Let's just say that they didn't take too kindly to being beaten by Little Mac, and our Freund von Kaiser is no exception to the rule. After Kaiser hears the news of Little Mac becoming the world champion, it's like something awakens within him. He remembers the days when he used to dominate the ring and decides that enough is enough. Even if this is the last match of his career, he wants to go out with a bang, so what does he do? He decides to get a haircut? Honestly, fair play to him, because that seems to have given him some newfound confidence and reinstilled that fighting spirit he'd been missing for so long. You can tell immediately that this is not the same Von Kaiser you fought in Contender mode. Gone is the weak, cowering punching bag that once stood where this flat-topped, militaristic giga-chad of a man now stands. Just from the preview, you can already tell that he means business, and when he leaps into the ring for his introduction, he yells out his fierce battle cry, combat boots? That is the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life. And then the fight begins, and this is where the magic truly starts. What you'll immediately notice is that they just decided to make this guy completely wired for no reason, and I am absolutely here for it. I mean, just look at how fast he moves now, his footwork is insane. The increased pace doesn't just translate to his movement though, as his attacks have also seen a significant upgrade in speed. Not only that, but he also has more than 2 moves now, so he's nowhere near as predictable as he used to be. As a matter of fact, his kit has been completely revamped for this rematch. Whilst before, he only jabbed from the left and uppercutted from the right, in Title Defense he mixes things up and attacks from both sides. Not only that, but he has different variants of each attack, with some being more delayed than others, which can throw you off your timing quite a bit. He even has this new jab which comes out super fast and is a stark change of pace from the ones that are normally telegraphed by his twitches. On top of all of this, the man even has the audacity to fake you out and trick you into dodging from punches that he never actually throws. Oh, and remember your precious star punches that Von Kaiser used to be so afraid of? If you use one of these while he's in his idle animation, instead of crying out in fear like he did before, he instead dodges to the side and laughs at you, taunting you for even thinking that the same trick would fool him twice. Speaking of which, his taunt game has also been taken up to the next level. I mean, in between rounds, he proudly proclaims, so, to my understanding, he just called himself German Precision and Little Mac a windmill? I'll be real, I don't think Little Mac's ever recovering from that one. Then Von Kaiser proceeds to further assert his dominance by opting not to warm up before the next round starts, instead choosing to polish his boots. He really has his priorities straight, doesn't he? I think the best part of this fight happens after you manage to knock him down for the first time though. Let me dial things back to Contender mode, where when Von Kaiser got up from being knocked down, this weird short animation would play where it'd hit himself and shake off to get his head back in the game. It's sort of out of the blue and a little jarring when you see it for the first time, but you don't think much of it. In Title Defense, he does something, well, a tiny bit different from before. You know what, I'll just let the video do the talking for this one. You just saw that correctly. They gave Von Kaiser, the second dude in the game, an instant knockdown attack. The absolute mad lads. You might see this and think to yourself that this man is an unbeatable powerhouse. That in itself is why this is probably one of my favourite title defense matches in the game, because unlike Soda Popinski or Mr Sandman where you'd expect them to be tough, Von Kaiser comes out of nowhere. Nobody wants to lose to this guy, but the odds are it'll happen to you a few times when you first take on this version of him. But even with all the extra sauce they gave him in title defense, he still preserves the very essence of what makes Von Kaiser, well, Von Kaiser. He looks tougher than he actually is. Sure, it's undeniable that he's a massively improved boxer from the first time around. His attacks are stronger, his rhythm is less predictable, and he can tank a lot more hits than before. But behind all the smoke and mirrors lies an opponent who is still highly exploitable for any experienced player. Just like in Contender mode, Von Kaiser is an absolute star farm here. It's harder to time, sure, but as with before, you can get a star for interrupting his jab if you get it right. And his fake outs, sure they might just seem like a flashy new trick, but if you correctly call Von Kaiser's bluff and punch him when he tries to fool you, you also get a star. Now, that's great and all, but how do you tell the difference between when he's faking you out and when he's actually attacking? Well, when he's winding up for his real uppercuts, I kid you not, it makes the sound of a shotgun being fired, and with the fake outs, there's no such cue. This means that you can effectively predict Von Kaiser's every move. Even his massive one-hit KO attack has a gigantic window of anticipation for you to easily dodge in the correct direction and counterattack accordingly. And when all is said and done, you can land that final blow and send Von Kaiser back to boot camp. I think people forget about Von Kaiser a lot of the time, and to me, that's a shame. He was always one of my favourites in the Punch-Out cast, so I wanted to make this video to give him a little bit more spotlight. Sure, he may not be as crazy as Aran Ryan, as strong as Mr Sandman, or even as weak as Glass Joe, but I still think he serves his purpose well. While Glass Joe is a mere punching bag, Von Kaiser is more of a tutorial. He's there to teach the player how to dodge, how to counterattack, how to earn stars and use them to their full potential. He's the player's first taste of what the gameplay of Punch-Out is really all about, and that's something that can't be overstated, so you know what, Von Kaiser? I salute you.